You're now watching The Franchise on the DML Network.
Welcome into the DML Network and another episode of The Franchise, which means we've drafted here in the Dynasty, and we're going to go through picks 1 through 32 and see, did you get a great pick or did you reach? Of course, we'll have that Stretch Armstrong winner and a Cosby Award winner going back home where it belongs. All right, guys, you know I don't do these shows on my own. Of course, I got the OG with me. It's the homie Taz of those Detroit Lions. What's up, Taz?
What's going on, expert? How y'all doing?
Man, another franchise episode. I couldn't even tell you how many this has been for the two of us.
Right.
But one of our favorite shows. And we got some new blood here on the show. He's an OG as well. I guess you could say he's been around a long time, Taz. It's the OG underrated of those Washington Redskins. What's up, underrated?
Hey, what's going on, y'all?
Hey, man, glad to have you on the show. And we know that draft time is so important as guys try and fix their rosters, bolster some positions that they got, maybe find that diamond in the rough. And we got the right guy on the show, Taz, because the first pick in the draft goes to the Washington Redskins, and he goes out and gets Malik Spears. This is the cornerback coming out of Oregon, 5'10", 193, shutdown corner. All right, underrated. At what point, once you realized you had the first pick, did you know that Malik was going to be that pick?
Honestly, I didn't. I looked at other people as far as the wide receiver that was supposed to go number one. I also needed a quarterback. I knew I needed a quarterback. And I also liked the linebacker from Miami.
Yeah. So
as I was counting down the days, I started thinking, I was like, I got Beasley on one side. I got a nice corner in Grice that I signed last year. And I was like, Malik would go great with Beasley. And then I heard, there was rumors floating around that, some more speed was coming to the NFC East. So then I was like, yeah, Malik's the one. I need to get some more speed on that defensive backfield.
Yeah, such a great pick, a guy that's going to solidify one side. You talked about Samuel Beasley on the other side, and now you really got two lockdown corners for the rest of the cycle. Will be there the whole way. And Malik coming out with that 98 speed, which is crucial when you talk about guys in the NFC East that like to run down the field. Huge pickup, and you got your quarterback later on to kind of take over the franchise. So was a good draft for the Redskins. Let's move on to pick number 2, and it's the Buffalo Bills, Rashawn Barden. This is the halfback. And Taz, was this a surprise to see a running back go this high in the draft here in the Dynasty?
It was and it wasn't. I mean, with the Bills at number 2, they have so many holes they need to fill. I mean, skill trade he needed some weapons, and this was one of the top players on the board. He went and got him.
Yeah, and he's coming in with 91 speed, 91 acceleration, coming out of UCLA. I thought the Bills were going to go quarterback here. He's got an aging Carson Wentz at 28, Trevor Siemian's 29. Going to need a quarterback here in the next couple years. I thought this was a good spot here to go get quarterback, but Barden is a good player, has all the attributes that you want for a running back: agility, ball carrying, vision. A good pick here for the Bills. I just felt he could have gone in a different direction and gone with a quarterback at that spot, but definitely not a bad pick. Just wouldn't have been what Expert did. Let's move on. Pick number 3. It's the homie JB and those Broncos. And here is the first quarterback coming off of the board. It's Kevin Purdom coming out of Oregon, a guy that went against Malik quite a bit in practice. And underrated. This is a guy that superstar development. He's a big kid, 224 pounds at 6'4", and you're going to see his highlights here on the franchise at Oregon. Not the strongest arm in the world, underrated, but he's going to come in here with a good throw on the run. He's got a decent medium. And this is a kid that likes to move around in the pocket with 84 speed, 88 acceleration. What'd you like about this kid coming out of Oregon?
I like him. Like I said, he's exactly what we thought he was. You know, he was on the top of the draft prospects, and we knew that he would be a nice scrambler. The 40 kind of threw me off a little, but he has speed, and he's a big quarterback that's going to be able to get out of some of those sacks with the break tackle attribute. So yeah, he's pretty much what we thought he was. He's a good quarterback.
After you saw this guy, are you happy that you went with the cornerback instead of taking a risk here on the quarterback?
I honestly am. He's good, but he's not quite what I was looking for. So yeah, I'm happy with my pick. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next pick, number 4 in the draft. It's going to go to the Rams here, and King Vitamin, and he needed a lot of help in a lot of places, Taz, and he's going to go with the first offensive lineman off the board, Taylor Soliday, coming off. What'd you like about this kid?
Taylor Soliday was high up on my draft board too. I mean, this is probably one of the top offensive linemen to come out in this class. He can play pretty much anywhere on that offensive line. I mean, he's solid. He's going to be there for a while. And, King Vitamin, he needed help. And he's starting to put it back together.
Yeah, he's got a very young offensive lineman. His oldest offensive lineman, of course, at center at Havenstein at 29, but everybody else in that 24, 23 range. So he's got his offensive line for the next foreseeable future. And this is a big kid that can play in day one. I mean, he's going to step in and he's going to start. I don't believe he's got him playing at left tackle. I think he's put him over there on the right side.
Yeah, he did.
And he's going to allow him to kind of develop as that right tackle spot. But this is a kid that's 89 strength. He's got great awareness, good run block, good pass block already.
Real nice speed.
Yeah, especially for a big, huge 314-pound lineman that can get up and go. So good pick here. Sometimes these top 5 picks, you're looking for that sexy pick, and sometimes you just got to go get a big ugly sometimes to protect your quarterback, especially for the Rams when he's got to play against guys like Sweets and those 49ers who's coming after Goff left and right. Good pick here for King Vitamin. Let's move on to number 5. This is going to be the Tampa Bay Bucks. And here's another cornerback, and we're going to have some highlights of Griffin Corliss for the Bucks here. And this is a big cornerback, and I know that T-Pain really felt his secondary hurt him last year, and he needed to bolster that secondary. And he goes out and gets a big corner to kind of bring in here and help with that. 6 foot, 192 kid. And we've seen in these past couple drafts where one school really dominates the draft. Last year Wisconsin had a lot of guys coming out, and this year Oregon just had some of the most talented NFL prospects, and Griffin Corliss is one of those guys. Underrated. This is a guy 98 speed, 94 acceleration. Is this a guy you can put on that island and say you have their best wide receiver and kind of forget about him, kind of like they used to do Deion Sanders back in the day?
Oh yes, he'll stay with that wide receiver. You can press him at the line because he has to press to do it, and then if he gets beat off the line, he has the speed to actually catch up and do what he needs to do as far as knocking the ball away or intercepting the ball. And he has 80 jumping, so that's awesome for a 6 foot.
Yeah, he's got high motor already. He's got aggressive play the ball. This is a kid that loves to be around the football, and is a huge pickup here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But let's move on to the next pick, and it's going to be the Giants And the Giants are going to take the first wide receiver, and we see the first speed guy come off the board here on the offensive side. It's Bryant Bauman. And Taz, talk about this speedster, underrated, went cornerback to kind of battle some of these guys. And here's a 94 speed wide receiver coming off the board.
Not only is he 94 speed, he's 6'5". This dude is huge. A 6'5" receiver with 94 speed, 84 acceleration. I mean, you just imagine his wingspan. You just throw the ball near him, he's going to go up and get it. I mean, watch this kid's highlights, and, he just took over the game. So this was a good pickup. Westside Pablo, he needed to make some moves and get some more pieces to try to do something. He's been struggling. And, this is a good pickup right here.
Yeah, and you're looking at a guy with 95 spec catch, 94 jump ability. He's already got 89 release.
That's ridiculous. 94 jumping at 6'5".
Yeah, that's just crazy. He's catching traffics in the 80s. He's a great route runner. He still needs to work on his deep route. But at 6'5", this is one of the guys you just throw the ball up to him with 94 jumping and let him go get a couple. And not to mention, he has Odell Beckham still on the other side at 95 speed. So a stout wide receiver core, and this is exactly why the Redskins went with a cornerback and smartly went quarterback. All right, then we're going to go to the next one. It's going to be the Packers, who traded up to get the 7th pick, and he went with the linebacker here, underrated. Talk about Lewis Kennedy, because I know he was high on your board as well.
Yes, Lewis was pretty much the guy that I was going to draft first before I changed. He had his combine just looked awesome. I mean, he was first in everything except for the bench reps. And I think he was in third. He was in third of that. So he's good. He's got 88 tackle, 80 hit power. So he's going to be out there hitting. And his acceleration is pretty good. So if you put him in the middle, he can cover a lot of the field. So,
yeah,
this is a good pick.
Definitely a good pick here for the Packers. Who is aging there at the middle linebacker position. Jake Ryan going to hit 30 years old this year. Jake Ryan still can move, so this guy's not going to be forced to step in there and play that big role. And plus, he went out and got Anthony Hitchens in free agency. So a good linebacker crew, and he adds Lewis Kennedy to that. Next up, it's the Eagles, who also made a trade to get up into this spot, and we see another linebacker go off the board here, Douglas DeCloud, and we're going to see some of his highlights here, and talk about this kid here, Douglas, that just came on the scene kind of late here, Taz, but made a huge impression here on Matty Ice and the Eagles for them to go pick him up at number 8.
Yeah, there was some analysts that kind of questioned some things, during the season about Douglas. But I think when the combine came around and then, his pro day, I think he put all those questions to bed, and Matty Ice just couldn't pass him up. He made the trade to move up, and there was just no way he could let this guy go by him.
Yeah, I mean, this is the 6'4", 257-pound linebacker coming out of Wisconsin, who's had some nice linebackers come out here as of late, and Douglas is going to add to that. I don't think he's going to play him traditionally in that right outside linebacker. We may see him play some middle linebacker, but this is a guy that Matty Ice is going to get onto the field. And before we get to the 9th pick, guys, we gotta give away our first award. So with that being said, Dion, roll that first video.
Breaking news. Today, unpredictable events have occurred across the globe. Who has come to save the day for humanity? Who is this mysterious mighty hero? Stretch Armstrong. Your stretchable superhero. Stretch him 4 times his size. He becomes bigger than a building. Tie him into a knot. He always goes back to his original shape. Stretch him again and again. Stretch Armstrong. The return only from character. Stretch Armstrong.
And that's it. Your Stretch Armstrong Award winner this year. I know the Jets are glad he's getting rid of this award. It's going to go to our brother from down under, and it's going to be the Minnesota Vikings picking Jamal Holmes. Now, Taz, I know we talked about why this was the stretch. Hamiltop has been traveling. He went back home to Australia for the holidays. Mm-hmm. And I thought this was a computer pick, but you got word that the draft board was set up, and this was a legit pick. Why is Jamal Holmes a top 10 pick for the Vikings?
I have no idea. I'm really just, I don't know. I mean, Ham needed a little help on the offensive line, but this dude wasn't it. Like, this guy is just a guy. He's Jag, big time. Normal development.
Yep.
74 overall. There was so many other people on the board. Man, I don't know if Ham, was stressed out about preparing for his trip and just didn't properly scout, or actually Ham just had a horrible draft. Horrible.
Yeah,
period.
Yeah, and he picked 9th. So there had to have been 9 guys on your draft board that you thought, okay, if any of these top 9 guys I get, I'm going to be thrilled. And Jamal Holmes can't be in those top 9. No. He couldn't be in the top 15 for this guy to be on your draft board. But it's where the Vikings go, and he's going to get the Stretch Armstrong winner. So Hamiltop, if you would, please go ahead and change your name in chat. You are the Stretch Armstrong winner. Let's move on to pick 10, and it's the Atlanta Falcons. And this is why number 9 pick is a bad pick, because the very next guy that comes off the board is Maurice Kelly, who is going to be a huge piece there in Atlanta. And, talking with the ownership with the Falcons, they need to find some offensive linemen that are dual threat. Can they run block? Can they pass block? And Maurice Kelly's one of them. And underrated, you've been in the league long enough to know Nasty Noop and how he plays football. How important is this offensive lineman pick to a guy like the Falcons and Nasty Noop?
Oh, yeah. I think it's time for Nasty Noop. He's ready to build this offensive line so they can grow together for high stakes. He has one offensive line in Jake Matthews that has actually aged. The rest of his offensive line are 24 and younger. So once he puts all this line together come high stakes, these guys are going to grow, and they're going to be ready, and they're going to pretty much take over that NFL South Division.
Ooh. That's going to be rough. I'm sure those Saints have something to say about that takeover. As that would be a difficult thing to do, but he definitely had to bolster that offensive line. A great pick at 10 for Nasty Noop. All right, moving on. Pick 11. It's the Seattle Seahawks and Jay. And we see the free safety come off the board. And I will say this was one of the top 2 or 3 guys on the list for the Jags when we started doing our draft. And you get Pierce Baldwin and Taz. This is the kid coming out of Penn State, 21-year-old kid, almost 200 pounds at 6'2", playing free safety with 91 speed. What kind of pick is this for the Seattle Seahawks?
This is a great pick. I mean, you see he still has Earl Thomas. He does have Malik Hooker on his squad also. He picked up Adrian Amos. So he's really deep at the safety position. But when you're thinking ahead towards high stakes, I mean, this kid right here, he can hold on to him, develop him. He'll be ready for high stakes. He can deal, Hooker. He still has Amos. So it not only gave him more weapons, but, gave him a little trade capital if he needs it down the line. So this, he probably could have went somewhere else with this pick, but seeing how this kid was mentioned in the news feed also, there's no way I would have passed him up either.
Yeah, good pick. And you talked about Amos and Thomas, both guys getting up there in age. So he's thinking future here, which is what you got to do, because we talk all the time. It's not a sprint. This is a marathon as we're trying to get to high stakes to see where you draft for Madden 20. So smart pickup here by a new guy here in the Dynasty. All right, next pick is the Colts. But unfortunately, the Colts had a penalty, and this pick actually belonged to the league. So he did not get to make a selection. So we won't spend time on him. Pick number 13. It's going to go to the Denver Broncos, his second pick here in the draft. And he goes out and gets a running back, and it's going to be Ivory Matthews, and underrated. Again, I'm going to ask, are halfbacks that big of a thing to be drafting here in the top 15? They're almost like, we used to clown everybody if you picked the tight end in the first round. I'm starting to think that maybe halfbacks are starting to get up there, because the Broncos were loaded at tailback. Did he need another running back in the stable?
Yes and no. I guess he wants to put together this 1-2 punch that he has. I mean, he has Royce Freeman, which is the Oregon Duck, and then he brings 2 other Oregon Ducks to his team. So there's going to be a lot of these guys has played with each other before. So I think it was a good choice as far as bringing those guys back together.
Yeah, and it's not that Ivory is a bad pick. A young kid at 21 years old. He's a bigger back at 206 pounds in that small 5'10" frame. And he's got all the attributes you want. He's got, speed. He's got break tackle. He's got vision. His spin move is good. His juke move is good. So definitely a good player. Still has some things to do in the pass game if this guy's going to be an all-around back. Not a bad pick. I wouldn't even say it's a reach. Just felt he had some other slots he could have filled on that Broncos team. But, that's why he's the GM over there. Next up, it's the Ravens. And the Baltimore Ravens are going to take another big ugly. It's Lucas Abbott and Taz. This is another reason why the Stretch Armstrong winner resides in Minnesota, because this is a great lineman here at number 14 for the Ravens. Talk about Lucas.
Lucas, 6'6", 309, just a big body, 89 strength. He got, some decent speed. This kid, he's going to be really, really nice. Look at that run block and that pass block. His pass block is already sitting at 87. That's crazy. His good awareness. He's smart. He's instant, immediate starter at left tackle.
Yeah, exactly. This is a guy that's going to be a day one starter, and a huge pickup here for the Ravens, bolstering that offensive line. Next up, the Redskins, his second pick here in the first round, and you talked about you need the quarterback, and so you go get Trey Sharon. This is the kid out of Tennessee, 21-year-old young kid out of Tennessee at 6'4", 210 pounds. Tell us what you loved about this kid, underrated.
I love that he's got pretty much all the attributes that you need as far as a great quarterback, a great pocket passer quarterback. He has a 91 short accuracy. He also has a throw on the run that if he has to, he can move out the pocket and throw it, or play action, whichever one I decide to do. And then that big stature of being 6'4", he's able to look over the line and actually throw it where he needs to throw.
Yeah, this is a great pick here. Really a very good draft here by the Redskins. Two big picks. Now, you had the first pick, which means you had to have a horrible season last year to even be around in that first pick. But the first pick, I believe, was a trade from last year, correct?
Yeah, that's Flair's.
It's Flair's pick from last year. So reach in and read into your crystal ball there, underrated. Did you know that the Steelers were going over for the season to give you the first pick?
No, I didn't. I honestly didn't think he Owen whatever. I figured I would get like maybe the top third maybe, but not the first. It really did surprise me, but I wasn't complaining about it at all.
Yeah, definitely not complaining as you get two guys that are going to be there for the rest of the cycle. Great draft by the Redskins. All right, next up, it's the Packers. Another guy who had an amazing draft, and Bradford Valentine. This is another reason why the Vikings are the Stretch Armstrong Award winner. This guy right here is the #1 rated center. He was a top 3 offensive lineman, period, coming out of this draft. And he goes at pick 16, Taz. Why is this guy falling all the way down this list?
I think some guys are just afraid. Well, no, let me rephrase that. They're not afraid. They just get caught up by the shiny things. Like you mentioned, the Broncos taking the running back.
Right.
I haven't looked at the Broncos line, but man, right here, he already had, serviceable running backs. You plug this guy in on the offensive line and, you're making those adequate running backs even better. This kid right here is a beast.
Yeah, this is a monster at center. 90 strength, already 80 plus run block, 78 pass block, 84 run block power, 80 lead block, and this is a guy that has stamina that's going to stay in the football game, and he has 77 awareness, which is so key for your interior offensive lineman. So great pick here by the Packers, and you see on the screen the Packers with that A draft rating. This is one of the reasons why. He did a great job scouting. He did a great job sticking to the plan and not deviating from what he knew he needed. And we should see a very, very tough NFC North division. And you get to see this guy twice, Taz, and he just keeps adding pieces and pieces to an already good roster. Great job here by the Packers. Next up, it's KP. I'm sorry, it's the Bengals. I'm sorry, big homie. Let's get to the big homie first. And the big homie takes Timmy Stringer, the middle linebacker, and underrated. Talk about this guy, Stringer, of stepping in here for the Bengals and starting day one for him.
This is a good pick. I can't not believe that this guy slipped all the way down to, 17?
Yeah, this is pick 17.
Yeah, that's crazy for him to slip down that far. He was the #1 middle linebacker on the draft prospects. And with all these great attributes, 92 pursuit, and he has a hit power, this is going to be a good linebacker for the Bengals.
Yeah, I think some things that make people shy away from these linebackers, they look at that combine 40 time, not the fastest guy in the world. I mean, he does have 85 acceleration, but I think that 81 speed kind of, makes people kind of look away from him. But this is a guy, when he hits you, you're going to know he hit you. And I got to play this guy first game of the preseason. Stringer was all over the field making plays, putting Leonard Fournette down quickly, and that's not a very easy task to do. Usually Leonard, it takes 2 guys to take him down, and Stringer's going to be a big improvement here for the Bengals. I like this pick. Good job by the big homie. All right, now we're going to go to the Chiefs and the homie KP, who Taz came on last year. KP was kind of quiet the first couple seasons, and then he came on last year, I believe going 13-3, and he goes and gets him a wide receiver, 96 speed, Roman Searcy. What'd you like about this kid going here at 18?
Well, KP actually made a trade with me. I traded back from 18 to 24 and acquired 2 other picks along with it. And I love this kid. He was high up on my board. He's probably the same player I would have picked at this position. Fast, good height at 6 foot. Good catching. Gonna need to work on his short route running, but that's gonna come. He's quick development. With KP's offense, all that speed all over the place, he'll get the ball often and he'll do well. He'll flourish.
Yeah, anybody that KP picks, I'll never say is a reach just because of the pedigree that guy has. He definitely knows how to develop people. All right, next up, the Ravens. he has another pick here in the first round. Femi Klein. I believe this is our first defensive end that came off of the board. And Femi Klein, a guy that was also high on the list for us in Jacksonville. This is a 21-year-old kid coming out of Tennessee, 292 pounds. This is a big guy that can play both inside and out, as you're seeing his highlights here at Tennessee. A guy that always found himself around the football, has a huge motor, continues to play even when you think the play is over. This guy is continuing to fight, and underrated. What does that mean when you got a defense end that can stop the run but also get after your quarterback?
It means a whole lot. I mean, you want to have someone that is going to get to the quarterback fast, to stop the guys from getting open. You also want to have somebody that can shed blocks to stop the run. I mean, he's got a great front seven in Baltimore. You're putting this guy right beside Pierce. So that's going to be real good.
Yeah, Ravens had a very, very good draft. And Femi Klein is going to add to that, a guy that gets after the quarterback very, very well, but also that run stopping defense in that you need. All right, next up, T-Pain in his second pick here in the first round, and we're going to see our first defensive tackle come off the board, Louis Tull. This is where we started to see some of the players we had high on our list start coming off the board before pick 30. And talk about Louis Tull here, Taz, a huge man that's going to anchor that defensive line there in Tampa Bay for the rest of the cycle.
Yeah, 6'3", 302. He's just a big, powerful dude. 94 strength. That is crazy. He's got 81 block shed, 82 power moves, and 76 finesse moves. Guys this big, usually you see they're higher on, one or the other, either the power or finesse. It's usually power. But for this kid to have, a 76 finesse move, he might be able to slide out to a DN if he needs to. He doesn't have the greatest speed, but his play recognition and his awareness is decent. This is a really, really good pick by T-Pain. Yeah,
a very, very good pick. T-Pain, another guy who had a good draft. All right, next up, C-Rob and those Panthers. And we're going to see Reed Tinker come off of the board. Another reason why the Stretch Armstrong Award winner is in Minnesota, because this is another great offensive lineman all the way down in the draft at pick 21 here. Underrated. Talk about Reed coming out of the University of Penn.
This is a good lineman. This is what we've known C-Rob to do. He's going to get these linemen that's going to run block. I mean, look at this guy. This guy has 77 run block already, 84 lead block. So he's going to pull. And when he pulls, he's cleaning somebody's clock. 86 strength. So, yeah, this is a good pick. And he'll definitely work his way into C-Rob's scheme.
Yeah, this is a great pick here by C-Rob. All right, next up, it's the commish at pick 23. And when he talked about, getting his offensive line where he wanted to be, he was not joking. He gets Bronson Jameson coming out of Syracuse. And Taz, talk about Bronson. Is going to play left guard here for the Falcons.
6'4", 343. He only has normal development, but, he's a smart kid. He has 74 awareness, 86 strength. His run blocking is at 82, 76 pass block. His impact blocking is at 82. I mean, this was a good acquisition for Newt. He's building up that offensive line, and that offense is just going to start coming together. I mean, think about it. He still got Julio, Calvin Ridley. He still has weapons. So, putting together this offensive line like he is right now, we're going to have to watch out.
Yeah, very good pick here by the Falcons. Two good ones here for him in the first round. Next up, Taz, it's your Detroit Lions here. And another guy that was in our top 5 here on the Jags board, Derek Beverly. This is the strong safety coming out of Pittsburgh. 22-year-old kid at 6'2", 208 pounds. Talk about him, Taz.
So this is the pick that I, traded back with KP. And actually, Beverly was a cornerback when we drafted him. He was 77 overall at corner. Big kid, like you said, 6'2", 208. Quick development, which we were happy about. But he was only 86 speed and 87 acceleration. Right. And there was, I thought about putting him in the slot, and he worked well in the slot. But early in preseason, we put him at free safety, and he did well there. But then we moved him to strong safety, and I think he's just found his calling. He's now the starting strong safety for the Lions, and we're looking for big things from this kid right here.
Yeah, and a position that you needed some help in, going into next year. Your secondary definitely needed that bolster, and that means, I guess, Quandre Diggs is going to be the free safety going forward. And then anytime you got Darius Slay out there at cornerback, and you drafted Leonard LaSure a couple years ago, very, very young secondary, and now you're going to put Beverly there at the strong safety. We'll have to see how he does for the Detroit Lions. All right, next up, it is those Cardinals, another good team, and he needed the offensive tackle, and he gets a right tackle here, A.J. Gallen, underrated. Talk about him.
And this is a right tackle that's going to actually he's going to help the outside as far as where David Johnson ran the ball towards the outside. He has 83 run block and 81 run block finesse. He's going to actually help protect against the long passes from Josh Allen. He's going to.
And I like Gallen here. A nice pickup here for the Cardinals at 86 strength. This is definitely a need for the Cardinals, who already has a very good team. Not a lot of people talking about the Cardinals, but Chef Scupa making some noise over there in the NFC last year, actually beating the Bears in the wild card. He fell victim to the Saints, which everybody did last year, as he's the Super Bowl champ. But the Cardinals, definitely a team you got to be on the lookout for, and Gallen's just going to make them even better. All right, guys, before we get to the next pick, though, let's go ahead and give another award away. So, Dion, if you're ready, go ahead and play that next video.
No, I'm all about that rape, popsicle. I'm all about that rape, popsicle. I'm all about that rape, popsicle. I'm all about that rape,
I'm sorry. I'm over here. I'm over here dying of laughter. Anytime I see Bill Cosby come out of that room, as you can see, the Cosby Award does not go to the New England Patriots. He was the one that fell victim to the Cosby Award. So we're actually going to give the Cosby Award to the commish. Mr. Nasty Noop is going to take the Cosby Award. And I want to pull up, because I don't want to take anything away from the Patriots, as he had a penalty as well, and that pick belonged to the league. But if you listen to Nasty Noop, Taz, and Underrated, this was a Christmas Day miracle trade. The Patriots were in a giving mood as the Falcons deal Tevin Coleman and the 73rd overall pick to New England in return for the 23rd pick, which Nasty Noop got him a great offensive lineman. And so he gives up a late pick and Tevin Coleman, an aging halfback, for a first-round pick. Taz, how does that still happen here in the Dynasty?
Noop just out there finessing people. No. I guess, the schemer, in his mind, he has a plan. He's going to stick to his plan. And I guess, Tevin Coleman was part of that. And that's what he wanted to do. And he did what he needed to do to, get the personnel in there.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear Schemer justify this trade to anybody that has a sound mind, because you don't take Tevin Coleman, aging running back, and give up a first-round pick for him. I don't care who you are. All right, next up, it's the Bears, and he actually has back-to-back picks here at pick 27 and 28. And with the first pick, he gets Jose Riley. This is the kid coming out of Northern Illinois, 6 foot, 249 pounds at 21 years old. Quick development and underrated. With the Bears and his style of defense, he likes those guys that are quick off of the edge. And this is a guy with 83 speed, 86 acceleration coming off of the end. What do you like about this kid coming out of Northern Illinois?
Well, this guy right here should have been a Redskin. Because I had him in my sights, and it said that he was projected to go, as far as his true talent was around round 4, fourth round pick. And when he came off the board, I was like, wow, you got to be kidding me. But knowing the KP, he's that type of defensive guy that's definitely going to have fast guys coming off the edge. And he's also going to be on the other side with Khalil Mack. So that's going to be definitely a good tandem right there.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I like that he has an 86 acceleration. That is nice coming off the edge as a right end. He's going to get there and actually he has all the traits as far as the spin move and bull rush. So he's going to get to the quarterback.
Yeah, and this is a pick where the bus kind of understands his play style, and so he goes and takes sort of a risk with the guy that's projected later in the draft. But I expect it to work out. All right, next up, of course, is the Bears again at pick 28, and he gets Glenn Hodges, left tackle. And Taz, you get to see this guy twice a year. What do you like about this kid?
Oh, I don't like him at all. No. He, good pick. Like you already said, the bus understands his style of play. He needed, to get a little younger on the offensive line. And so he went and grabbed this guy. I mean, can't be mad at him. Between him and the Packers, they both had some really good drafts.
Yeah, and I think, outside of the Vikings one pick in the first round, really the whole NFC North had a good draft and filled holes. And so it's going to be interesting to see how that division pans out this year, because it was very competitive last year. And I expect it to be the same way again this year. All right, next up, pick 29. It's going to go to the Tennessee Titans. This is Darkness here with the Titans, and he's going to get Nick Sutherland, who I had loaded up, ready to go to be picked at pick 30. Nick was going to be a Jacksonville Jaguar, and I actually went to click on him to draft it when it said, Jags, it's your turn. And, of course, the box had been blacked out. I couldn't pick him because the Titans picked him one pick before. And underrated. This is a guy with 90 strength, 85 pass block, 76 run block. Going to have to work on his run block, but this is a 293-pound rookie coming out of The Ohio State. Talk about this kid.
This guy is going to be the anchor to the offensive line in a couple years. 90 strength. He's going to move people around. You have a young quarterback in Clay Brooks that is thanking this organization right now for drafting this guy. I mean, this guy is a good pick. Real good.
All right, that leaves us at pick 30. It's the Jacksonville Jaguars. And we had to scramble a little bit, but the good thing is we had a plan in place. We knew we had to get a free safety. So we go get Perry Buck coming out of Troy. This is a 22-year-old kid at 5'10". And he's going to be able to play multiple positions. We're going to move him around, strong safety, free safety, 91 speed, 89 acceleration. What I love about him is his aggressive play the ball. This is a guy that wants to be around the football, and he's shown it here in the preseason. Has some work to do. Not very thrilled with his hit power, but a guy that's going to be able to step into that free safety role We expect him to play a ton of plays here for the Jacksonville Jaguars. All right, next up is the 2 Super Bowl entries. And first up, we'll go with the Jets here at pick 31. I think this is a future pick here, Taz, as he has a good quarterback already in Sam Darnold that's led him to 2 Super Bowls. But he goes out and gets Scott Kane coming out of Notre Dame. What did you think about this pick, knowing that Sam Darnold is a back-to-back AFC champion?
Darnold is a champion, but I was in the draft chat with Rich, and he feels like Darnold kind of let the squad down, missing throws here and there. And he just went and he got himself a younger QB. To my knowledge, Darnold is on the trade block, and Scott Kane is going to come in and take over this Jets organization. He's got all the tools, 88 throw power, 80 deep accuracy, 87 at short and medium. His break sack isn't that high, but he has good awareness, throw on the run, play action, throw under pressure. He's ready. He's ready to go.
Yeah, and I knew that's one thing that Rich talked about, was that maybe Darnold couldn't get over that last hump, so he went with the young kid Scott Kane. Will be interesting to see first where Sam Darnold ends up, because there will be teams that will be vying for his services, and then to see how Scott Kane plays this year as he attempts to make it 3 Super Bowls in a row. All righty, and on to the last pick here in the first round. It's going to go to the 2-time Super Bowl champ, Mr. Addy 5, picking 32 here in the Dynasty draft. And he goes and gets a halfback coming out of William & Mary, DJ Coates. And Taz, talk about DJ Coates. Excuse me, Addy 5 already with Alvin Kamara, the monster he has at running back. But why did he go halfback here at pick 32?
Well, as we know, Kamara all cycle long has had injury problems. So Addy went and grabbed DJ Coates as more of an insurance policy for those times when he has to do without Kamara. Now, that's not taking anything away from this kid. He's 6 foot 210. 91 speed, 91 acceleration. This kid is a baller, and he's going to the Super Bowl champs, the back-to-back Super Bowl champs. So still great pick.
Yeah, great pick, and goes to a team that didn't have a lot of holes. Last time I talked to Addy, he talked about he's not really filling a need, but more of that depth on his depth chart, especially with a guy like Alvin Kamara, who always finds a way to end up on the injury report. All right, guys, that is picks 1 through 32, but we have a special pick we're going to add to the franchise. In the NFL, you have the last pick in the draft. It's called Mr. Irrelevant. So we're going to bring him here to the franchise on the Dynasty. As you're watching live here on the DML Network, Mr. Irrelevant goes to the co-commish, SJ, and number 224 in the draft, Jeremy Saffold, underrated. Does pick 224, does he make the roster there in Houston, or are we going to find this guy in the free agency pool?
I think this guy will most likely be in the free agency room. Cool, because I don't see anyone wanting to keep this guy unless they just want to have someone to run down the field on kickoffs. But
yeah, this is a practice squad player written all over it. 78 speed, 82 acceleration. But his card looks like a Christmas tree with all the red and orange and green on it and yellow. As we're at the holiday time here in the Dynasty. But we'll see. SJ is very good about building guys up. And we'll see. Can Jeremy Saffold play an entire season here in the Dynasty? All right, guys. This is the franchise where we go through pick 1 through 32. Shout out to the two winners here today. The Stretch Armstrong Award winner going to Hamilton and those Vikings. And the Cosby Award going back home where it belongs with Nasty Noob and those Atlanta Falcons. All right, Taz, what do the Lions do this year here in the Dynasty? Do we see the Lions in the playoffs this year?
I would like to say yes, but it's going to be a maybe. We came close to sneaking in last season. We finished 8-8. I needed the Cardinals to take a loss in Week 17, but they pulled their win out. We're on the verge, but as we always say, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. I'm right now just working on getting my team younger and getting enough depth at each position, and then we'll start looking at long-term runs.
And then there'll be another patch come out and
screw it all up there.
screw
I'll have
it
to
all
learn
up.
how to play the game all over again.
Absolutely. All right, underrated. Do the Redskins make some noise over there in the NFC East this year?
I like to say yes. We're building the team pretty good. There's some things that I've got to do as far as not making as many mistakes. I need to start just moving the chains instead of going for the home run every play. That's my main problem. So if I can keep moving the chains, I think we'll be all right. I don't really have any problem with the defense. The defense is going to be good. But yeah, we're going to try to make some noise.
All right. Be good to see the Lions and the Redskins battling for those playoff spots over in the NFC. We expect the Jags to be up there in the top 4, top 5 again this year, and we'll see what we can do with the team that's getting up there in age. We're going to have to make some noise here pretty quick. All right, guys. You're watching the DML Network. This has been The Franchise. It's your boy Expert, and I'm out.